picture this for a second. You are right in the middle of sorting a massive wash-dry-fold order.
Oh, yeah. The weekend backlog.
Exactly. The machines are humming, the store is incredibly busy, and you are finally making a dent in that backlog. And then it happens.
The phone rings.
The phone rings, you wipe your hands, you rush over to the counter, and it's someone asking for your holiday hours.
Something they absolutely could have found online in 2 seconds.
Exactly. So you hang up, you walk all the way back to the folding tables, and maybe 2 minutes later it rings again.
Right.
But this time, it's a high-value request. It's for your PUD service.
Pickup and delivery.
Right, pickup and delivery. But because you're distracted by the noise, the growing line of walk-ins, you jot the customer's address down on the back of a receipt paper.
Which is a terrible idea.
Because it promptly gets lost under a pile of lint traps.
Oh, man, it hurts because it is so true.
It is a daily, exhausting cycle. You are trying to manage and grow a business, but you are constantly anchored to that ringing phone.
Yeah, you become a hostage to your own customer service.
Right. Your ultimate goal here is achieving true time freedom, but right now you are literally tethered to the front desk.
It is a phenomenal amount of pressure for any operator. I mean, you want that time freedom, but getting there requires completely rethinking how communication flows into the business. You can't just, wish the phone calls away because those calls are the lifeblood of your revenue.
And that is exactly the core mission of our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We are exploring the exact blueprint for transitioning a laundromat from a chaotic, manual call-handling nightmare,
It's just a real nightmare.
to a highly efficient, fully automated AI phone agent.
Yeah.
And we have a really heavy stack of sources on the desk today to guide us through this. We are looking at a comprehensive AI phone agent readiness scorecard, a master logic template, which is specifically designed for AI architecture in the laundry industry, and a really detailed slide-by-slide visual implementation guide.
And we aren't just talking in the abstract here.
Right, this isn't theory.
No. The data we are analyzing today comes directly from Super Kleen Laundry.
Super Kleen Laundry. They act as the living lab for a4laundromats.org.
Yes, the living lab.
I want to make sure you, listening right now, understand that this isn't just theoretical tech jargon.
Right.
This is a real operational laundromat where these exact AI strategies are being actively tested.
Tested, refined, and proven in the real world. That real-world context is vital to establish right up front.
Because we are not talking about installing a basic chatbot.
Oh, please, no. We are not talking about those frustrating chatbots that just annoy your customers until they literally mash the 0 key just to talk to a human.
We've all been there.
It's the worst. This is about a fundamental transformation of your operations. It requires incredibly careful planning, a really deep understanding of your own business mechanics, and a willingness to rebuild your foundation.
Before you even touch the technology.
Exactly, before you touch a single line of code.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at the actual scorecard results from this living lab.
The Super Kleen audit.
Yeah, the Super Kleen audit. When they went through the readiness audit, their overall readiness score for deploying an AI phone agent came out to exactly 42%.
42%.
Now, 42% sounds like a failing grade on a high school math test.
It definitely does.
What does a 42% readiness score actually tell us about a typical laundry operation? Because they are a functioning business.
Right.
They are processing orders, they are making money.
They are making money, yes, but they are bleeding opportunity.
Okay.
A 42% tells us that this business has workable systems in place. I mean, they managed to get clothes washed, dried, folded, and back to the customer.
The basics.
Right, the basics. But the foundation of how they process information is heavily cracked.
How so?
It means their workflows rely almost entirely on human memory, manual note-taking, ad hoc problem-solving.
Receipt paper under the lint trap.
Exactly. They are surviving day-to-day, but they are absolutely not built for scale. If you were to double their call volume right now, the system would completely collapse under the weight of its own disorganization.
Which brings us to arguably the most important sentence in our entire stack of sources.
Ooh, the golden rule.
The golden rule of this transition, I'm just going to quote it directly. Automating chaos only amplifies errors.
Automating chaos only amplifies errors. It diagnoses the exact mistake most business owners make with AI.
Because people tend to think artificial intelligence is a magic band-aid.
Right. They think you can just slap it over a broken process and suddenly everything is fixed.
But that's not how it works.
Not at all. Consider the reality here. If your core call handling routine is messy.
Like inconsistent information gathering.
Yeah. Or if there is no clear rule for how to handle, say, a missing garment complaint. If you hand that over to an AI, the AI is just going to execute that messy, broken process at lightning speed.
It's going to make mistakes faster.
Precisely. You cannot slap AI onto a chaotic foundation. You must stabilize the core routines first.
So you have to tell the AI exactly what perfection looks like before you let it answer a single call.
Exactly. And that requires a massive paradigm shift in how an owner views their phone lines.
The sources frame this as the difference between hiring a note-taker versus hiring a digital employee.
Yes.
In the old way, a lot of laundromats try to solve the phone problem by hiring a basic third-party answering service.
And those services are essentially just note takers.
Right. They answer the phone, say they'll take a message, write down a name, and email you.
But you still have to call the customer back.
You haven't actually saved time. You've just delayed the work.
Exactly. You're just pushing the work to the end of your shift. And that transition to a true digital employee introduces a core concept from our sources called the digital handshake.
The digital handshake. Let's dig into that.
The digital handshake is that crucial, invisible moment where the AI agent interfaces directly with the laundry's point-of-sale system.
The PUD.
Right. It's not just talking to the customer. It is securely reaching into your scheduling software, checking availability, booking the pickup, and writing that data directly into your database.
With no human intervention.
None. No human data entry is required at any point. That handshake is the bridge between a conversation and a completed operational task.
A seamless digital handshake sounds great on paper, but I imagine it's incredibly difficult to execute if the business is already disorganized.
Oh, it's impossible.
Our sources actually break this transition down into 4 specific pillars. The first 2 pillars represent the most critical bottlenecks.
And they are where Super Kleen Laundry scored the lowest.
Let's look at pillar 1. Revenue leakage.
Yes.
Their score here was a highly concerning 33%.
A 33% indicates that massive revenue leakage is actively occurring every single day.
Just money walking out the door.
Exactly. Every missed call, every time a busy owner doesn't answer the phone, or every time they answer but are simply too rushed to ask for an address.
They are bleeding wash, dry, fold, and PUD leads.
Yes. It's revenue evaporating into thin air because the capture mechanism itself is flawed.
So how does the architecture actually fix that? What is the technical mechanism stopping the leak?
What's fascinating here is how the master logic template addresses this through something called lead capture logic.
Lead capture logic.
The AI is programmed with a specific imperative. When a caller inquires about a pickup and delivery or wash, dry, fold service, the AI absolutely must extract what the template calls the mandatory data string.
The mandatory data string. That sounds like a rigid requirement. What exactly does that string consist of?
It's very specific. Before that caller is allowed to hang up, the AI is instructed to seamlessly but persistently collect 3 things: the caller's name, their phone number, and their service address.
Name, phone number, service address.
Right. The goal is 100% capture. Even if the customer is hesitant or tries to change the subject, the AI is trained to naturally guide the conversation back to gathering those 3 vital pieces of data.
Because without that mandatory data string,
You don't have a lead. You just have a missed connection.
that makes perfect sense in theory. But what if the customer doesn't actually want to book right then?
Like they're just price shopping.
Yeah, let's say the AI gets the mandatory data string, but the customer says, well, let me check with my spouse and call you back. Does the AI just aggressively push for the sale?
Not at all. And that's where the template introduces the follow-up trigger.
Okay, what does that do?
If the AI does not secure a confirmed booking by the end of the call, it doesn't just say goodbye and forget about it. It automatically triggers an SMS to the customer.
Oh, wow.
Or it logs an entry right into your CRM. It manually stops the leak so that the human staff gets a notification saying, John Doe at this address is interested but didn't book. Give him a call.
It acts as a tight safety net for your pipeline.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
catches the leads that would normally just vanish.
But capturing that data string assumes the customer actually stays on the line.
Yeah.
And looking at the next section of the scorecard, keeping them on the line without frustrating them is a massive problem.
Huge problem.
Super Kleen scored a brutal 23% on Pillar 2, the customer journey. That was the lowest score on the entire audit.
A 23% in customer journey means your callers are experiencing significant friction.
Yeah.
They are dealing with long wait times. They're getting inconsistent answers depending on which employee happens to pick up the phone.
One guy says turnaround is a day, the next guy says 2 days.
Exactly. And ultimately, this kind of erratic service completely destroys customer loyalty.
Anyone who has ever tried to call a local business during a lunch rush knows that pain. You call to give them money, and you are made to feel like you are interrupting their day.
It's the worst feeling as a consumer.
The sources are very strict about this. You have to standardize every single touch point before you deploy the AI. You can't just program an AI to be nice.
Precisely. You have to map out the logic. The template breaks this down into 2 distinct areas. First is laundry greeting logic.
Laundry greeting logic.
It sounds basic, but it is fundamentally important. Every single call must start by confirming the brand and setting immediate expectations.
Setting the stage.
Right. The AI greets the caller warmly, says the name of the laundromat so the caller knows they dialed correctly, and then it immediately frames what it can do.
Like saying, I can help you schedule a pickup or check your order status.
Yes. It takes control of the interaction in a helpful, highly structured way.
And then it moves into the service FAQ logic.
This is where it gets really powerful.
Right. The listener, right now, needs to visualize how AI completely changes the waiting game here. The AI moves a caller from a question directly to an instant answer with absolutely zero wait time.
Zero hold music.
Exactly. If a customer asks, what is your price per pound for wash and fold? Or what's the turnaround time if I drop off a comforter today? Or even, are there any large capacity washers available right now?
The AI instantly pulls from its standardized knowledge base and answers.
No putting them on hold, no yelling across the room to ask the manager.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how fixing those first 2 pillars, stopping the revenue leaks and smoothing out the customer journey, suddenly stabilizes the entire business.
It builds a solid floor.
Right. But once you are stable, and once you start capturing all those leads with zero friction, your volume is going to go up.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because fixing the leaks creates a new problem: pressure.
Yes. Good pressure, but still pressure.
Which brings us to pillar 3, operational scaling. Super Kleen scored a 43% here. The audit notes that they have workable systems, but when the laundromat gets busy, the cracks really start to show.
Handoffs get inconsistent, response times slow down to a crawl.
So how does the AI actually handle a sudden spike in call volume without breaking down?
It handles it through a concept called interlocking joints.
Interlocking joints.
Imagine a perfectly constructed piece of furniture where the wood pieces lock together so tightly you don't even need nails. In this context, the interlocking joints are the strict boundaries between the AI's responsibilities and the human staff's responsibilities.
Drawing a clear line.
Right. The AI is designed to handle all the simple, high-volume, repetitive tasks. But the moment a complex issue arises, the system relies on structured logic to seamlessly hand the interaction over to a human.
And the sources outline 2 specific types of logic to make these interlocking joints work. First is root logic.
Root logic.
The AI acts like an incredibly smart traffic cop listening to the caller's intent. If a caller says, I need someone to come get my laundry, the AI roasts them down the PUD scheduling workflow.
Yes.
If the caller says, what time do your doors lock tonight? The AI routes them to the storefront hours workflow.
And the second type of logic is absolutely crucial for protecting your brand. Escalation logic.
Wait, let me stop you there. Because escalation implies someone is angry or something went wrong.
Yes, exactly.
What happens when a caller is genuinely upset? Let's say they're calling to report a missing garment, or they are furious about a delayed pickup. The AI can't creatively problem solve a missing favorite shirt.
No, and attempting to do so would be a total disaster. An AI trying to sound empathetic while failing to find a lost shirt just makes people angrier.
Right.
So the escalation logic dictates a highly specific path for exactly those scenarios. The AI is trained to show professional empathy, collect the mandatory data string, get the specifics of the complaint, and then instantly escalate that ticket to a human manager.
It tees it up for the human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It essentially tells the customer, I have documented all of this, and my manager is going to call you back within 10 minutes with a solution.
So it de-escalates the friction and tees up the human to be the hero.
The AI handles the volume, the human handles the nuance.
That makes a ton of sense. But all of this relies heavily on the back-end software talking to each other perfectly. which moves us into Pillar 4, technical integration.
Now, this was Super Keen's strongest area.
Right, scoring a 67%. But even with the 67%, the audit notes that gaps still exist where data gets lost under pressure when multi-system workflows break down.
Having a high score here just means you have some of your software talking to each other. But a true digital employee requires absolute synchronization.
No drop data.
Right. The template calls this sync logic. This means that every single call, every single order request, and every single customer detail is logged via API directly into the laundromat's POS or central database in real time.
The scorecard mentions API integrations a few times.
Yeah.
Just to level set, for anyone not living in the tech weeds, an API is essentially the digital bridge that lets your AI talk to your cash register or your scheduling software.
That's a great way to put it.
But let's be realistic for a second. We all use technology, and technology inevitably breaks.
Oh.
The internet goes down on a Friday afternoon. The POS system runs a random update and locks up. Or that API digital bridge just drops. What happens to the digital employee when the system it's trying to handshake with simply isn't there? Does the whole thing just crash and start hanging up on customers?
That is the nightmare scenario for any owner. But the architecture accounts for it with what the sources call the safety net.
Formerly known as exception logic.
Right, exception logic. The AI is constantly monitoring the health of that digital handshake. If it attempts to connect to the scheduling software and the connection fails, the AI doesn't panic. It doesn't drop the call.
So what does it do?
It instantly reverts to a safe mode.
How does that actually work in practice? If the connection is dead, how is it still functioning?
In safe mode, the AI seamlessly switches to a manual fallback script. It continues talking to the customer as if nothing is wrong. It collects their requested pickup time, their mandatory data string, and their payment info. And then it simply assures the customer, I have recorded your request and you will receive a final confirmation text shortly.
It essentially becomes a highly accurate note taker for those few minutes the system is down.
Exactly. It holds all that data securely until the connection is restored, at which point it pushes the data through. The customer never even knows there was a glitch behind the scenes.
That is incredible. So what does this all mean? We've gone through the 4 pillars. We've looked at stopping the revenue leaks with lead capture logic, smoothing the customer journey by standardizing FAQs, building interlocking joints for scaling, and setting up a technical safety net for when the internet fails.
It's a comprehensive system.
It is. But how does a listener, a laundry owner sitting in their store right now, actually build this? The visual guide outlines a very specific 30-day roadmap.
It is a systematic 3-step timeline. You absolutely cannot skip these steps. Step 1 is the audit.
Okay, the audit.
This is exactly what Super Kleen went through to get that 42% score. You have to map your current workflows. You must define clear accountability for every single touch point.
So you literally sit down with a piece of paper and draw out exactly what should happen when someone asks for a price versus when someone complains.
Exactly. You are defining the rules of the game before you bring the AI onto the field.
And once you have the rules clearly defined, you move to step 2, the pilot. I imagine this is where things get stressful.
The pilot phase is where you run controlled test periods. You do not just flip a switch and route 100% of your calls to the AI.
That would be terrifying.
It would be a disaster. You might route 10% of calls or only route calls after hours to expose integration weak points. You monitor the AI, you read the transcripts, and you watch how the data flows into your POS.
You are actively looking for friction. You want to break it in a controlled environment.
Right, which leads to the final step, step 3, scale. Once the pilot proves that the logic holds up under pressure and the safe mode triggers correctly, you begin adjusting the workflows to support seamless, automated scaling. You open the floodgates because you know the foundation can handle the water.
And when you reach that scale phase, you've successfully transitioned from manual chaos to operational excellence.
That's the goal.
Let's tie this all the way back to the beginning. We talked about you, the listener, standing there folding clothes, stressed out by a constantly ringing phone, losing PUD leads on the backs of receipts.
Under the lint trap.
Exactly. The entire point of this 30-day roadmap, the entire point of configuring lead capture logic and safe modes and digital handshakes is to achieve time freedom.
Time freedom, yes.
By utilizing this digital employee to handle the overwhelming majority of your routine interactions, you finally get to step away from the phone. You get to breathe, you get to focus on growing your business, managing your team, or just going home on time.
You are systematically replacing anxiety with architecture.
To quickly recap our deep dive today, We took a hard look at a 42% readiness score and realized that automating chaos only amplifies errors. We learned that to stop massive revenue leaks, you need a mandatory data string.
Name, phone, address.
We saw that standardizing the customer journey eliminates wait times entirely. We discovered that operational scaling requires interlocking joints between human and AI. And we explored how a digital handshake ensures your POS is perfectly in sync, backed by a safety net that catches the system when it falls.
This raises an important question, though. We spent this entire time talking about automating the chaotic elements of your communication.
Right.
But I want you to think about what happens the day after this is fully implemented. If your new AI digital employee successfully handles 90% of your daily operational calls flawlessly, how will you systematically redesign the newly freed up time of your human staff to deliver a level of in-person hospitality that an algorithm could never replicate?
That is a fascinating thought to leave on. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to replace human interaction, it's to elevate it where it actually matters most. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the blueprint for a laundry AI phone agent. We hope this gave you the clarity to start building your own path to time freedom. Until next time.